Murder, intrigue, suspicious characters. These occur all the time across the multiverse of MTG, but one plane in particular has taken mysteries to a whole new level. Ravnica. Between the inter-guild conspiracies for power, broken alliances, double crossings, and deceitful practices, the non-magical pact that keeps Ravnica from falling apart seems to be wearing rather thin of late. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Aether Hub. I'm Simon, bringing you more Magic the Gathering lore. Murders at Karlov Manor will be our next visit to the plane of Ravnica, a mega city that expands through most of this world, whose citizenry are governed by 10 guilds who perform various functions that keep Ravnica functioning. Ravnica in the story has survived 2 interplanar threats that look to subjugate not only their plane, but the entire multiverse, as well as countless other internal struggles between ambitious and power-hungry members of the guilds, all of whom vie to control the others. Now we again see tensions rise as foul play rears its ugly head at the seat of the Orzhov Syndicate's power, Karlov Manor. Who looks to upend Ravnica's peace and stability? Who would stoop to murder to get what they want? Let's follow the breadcrumbs of this mystery with today's video, covering the first chapter of Murders at Karlov Manor's story, and the character I believe could be the one behind all the murders at Karlov Manor. But before we begin, a word from today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Bespoke Post, a monthly membership club that delivers a box of awesome, top-shelf goods from indie brands right to your door. It's free to sign up online, and you can skip any month or cancel any time. For me, I love to get out and do some camping with friends. Even just playing MTG outside can be so refreshing. I got the Billy box from Bespoke Post, so even when I'm out in the evolving wilds, I can still brew some coffee. It came with this beautiful espresso-style coffee maker that's fitted with a tumbler. Of course, you're gonna need to heat it up, and in this box I also got a mini wood-burning survival stove. All you need are some loose sticks, and you'll have yourself a hot coffee pot in no time. They've even included this camp kitchen cleaning set, so when I'm done brewing, I can clean everything up and be ready for the next morning. 90% of the products come from small brands, many of which are based right here in the United States, so with your monthly boxes you're also supporting small businesses. And each box has some truly awesome and unique items specifically added to fit whatever theme you're most interested in. They're constantly updating the website so members are introduced to cool and new products all the time. You can take their preference quiz, and Bespoke Post will curate a box based off of those findings. From outdoor gear to barware, there's something for everyone. When I'm not camping, maybe I'm hosting Commander Night, and then I like to use what I got from Bespoke Post Smoked Box. It comes with everything you need to enhance your beverage with a woodsy note. Along with the infusion case and the butane torch, I also got these hickory smoking chips. They added so much flavor to my guests' drinks that they even decided to not conspire against me when we played, which was a refreshing change of pace. You can preview your next Bespoke Post before it's shipped. Take a look at exactly what you'll be getting, and if you're not feeling it one month, you can swap it out for a different box or skip it entirely at no charge. They believe in a simple pay for what you want model. Really, every box is chock full of amazing items at such a great value. Every box of awesome you get has roughly $70 worth of products inside, but you only pay a fraction of that price for it. And that deal can be even better when you use my unique code EtherHub20. You can get your first box of awesome 20% off by clicking the link in the description and entering my code EtherHub20. Again, follow the link in the description, bespokepost.com/EtherHub20 for 20% off your first box. Before we begin deliberating on who may have done it, and with what was done still sort of a mystery at this point, we have to set the stage. Murders at Karlov Manor takes place, as you'd expect, within the auspicious and luxurious halls of Karlov Manor, the home of the sitting guild leader of the Orzhov Syndicate. The Orzhov are the Black-White Aligned Guild of Ravnica who act almost like the religious bedrock of the plain citizenry, but with a dark twist. Though they look and act very much like a church, the Orzhov are fundamentally a banking institution. They acquire their wealth through lending money and forcing repayment with interest no matter what. Through their powerful contractual magic, yes, signing something with the Orzhov is like casting a spell, they can bend debtors to their will. And some of the fine print is, well, rather cruel. The most common practice being that debtors will continue to pay off their debts, even after their untimely or sometimes timely demise. Their spirits would be bound in servitude to the Orzhov until the loan is squared, which makes the ghosts of the Syndicate some of their most valuable resources, able to collect all manner of riches for those charading as pious figures of the church. While rather untasteful to deal with in peacetime, the Orzhov Syndicate were instrumental in defending Ravnica during the Phyrexian invasion, which sought to complete the entire multiverse under Elesh Norn's rule. While many of the more physical guilds could fall to Phyrexia's corrupting oil, the ghosts in service of the Orzhov could not, and they turned the tide against the invaders. Ravnica survived thanks to the Orzhov, whose leadership was now under contention. Before, the guild was led by the planeswalker Kaya, who brought the Orzhov into a more humane renaissance, systematically clearing the debts of several spirits in servitude, much to her guild's dismay. However, as Phyrexia was on the march, Kaya was pulled away as part of the strike team to attack New Phyrexia itself. Kaya was seen as abandoning her guild in its time of greatest need, and the power vacuum she left behind was quickly filled by the ambitious Tessa Karlov, a prominent leader among the Orzhov whose family dates back to the guild's founding. Tessa quickly gained control in Kaya's absence, and brought the Orzhov Syndicate back to its more troubling practices, which ended up saving all of Ravnica. In the year following the Phyrexians' defeat, the Orzhov have partnered with a group called the Agency, led by an Archon named Ezrim. The Agency, a shorthand for the Agency of Magicological Investigations, was founded and funded to help weed out sleeper agents of Phyrexia, along with other bad actors who look to benefit from any crisis happening on Ravnica. Through them and their skilled detectives, order was maintained following the invasion, and the structure of Ravnica remained solid. It was this success that brings us to the fateful evening of celebration that would ultimately end in bloodshed and mystery. Tessa Karlov spared no expense when inviting all of the various guilds and their prominent figures to her estate. It was a show of both gratitude to them all, but also a reminder of how powerful the Orzhov had become. Tessa would champion her guild and their partnership with the Agency, and how it was the Orzhov who saved them all disguised as an award ceremony for others. It was the subtlety upon which the Orzhov Syndicate was founded, and to drive home that point, Tessa made it her priority to escort Kaya, her former guild leader, around the gala. Though many on Ravnica saw Kaya as a coward who wasn't there when the Orzhov needed her, the people simply didn't see the truth. Tessa knew the true sacrifices Kaya endured, her fight on New Phyrexia that saw many of her friends lost, the forces of the multiverse that saw even more lose their planeswalker sparks. Though she wasn't on Ravnica fighting the Phyrexians, she fought for Ravnica as well as the entire multiverse. But at this point, Ravnica had been battered countless times by the meddling of planeswalkers, so much so that most of the citizenry and even those of the guilds had soured to them. Even Kaya, tonight, who Tessa rejoiced as her, quote, hero of the evening. Kaya felt little love during the ceremony. During the celebration, a number of key figures were seen skulking about, making hushed remarks and deals in darkened corners. And despite some disruptions among the crowds, the awards went out without much hassle. Chief among them was a young, aspiring detective of the Agency, Kellen. Yes, the same Kellen of Eldraine, who's taken omen paths from his home there to the caverns of Ixalan, and now has found his way to Ravnica, all in pursuit of his lost father, the planeswalker Oko, who Kellen has been tracking through the multiverse. In a sense, he's been a detective this whole time, and has decided to put those skills to use here on Ravnica. Though Kaya is noticeably uncomfortable with her gaudy title, correctly seeing it more as a mocking gesture than one of genuine appreciation, the planeswalker steps away from the festivities to catch her breath. She wishes badly to just planeswalk away. Having survived the Great Pruning, Kaya was lucky to still have a spark. But she owes something to the Orzhov, a debt of her own. She had promised to watch over Ravnica as their guild leader following the fall of Nicol Bolas, but she didn't do that when Phyrexia attacked. Kaya plants her feet and is determined to be there for this world when it again needs her. Luckily, or unluckily, she doesn't have to wait very long. Tessa and Kaya enjoy a small respite from the chaos of the gala, only to be caught off guard by screams of partygoers, a blood-curdling yell which could only mean a death. Kaya rushes off, promising herself to this time fight for Ravnica. Who met their demise? We don't yet know. But as the mystery unveils itself, we already have a cast of suspects who may have played a role in this murder. Let's take a look at some of the more likely candidates introduced in Murders at Karlov Manor. First, the disruptor of the award ceremony, the one who caused a ruckus amongst the crowd, a centaur named Yaris, who stands with the Gruul clans. He was upset because Kellen and the agency had captured a wild god worshipped by the Gruul named Ansrog. Ansrog was rampaging through the districts and was detained and shipped off to the Azorius. Yaris and the Gruul feel this is a massive insult to their beliefs, and made their frustrations known during the party. Next, the goblin kingpin Krenko. A leader of various criminally aligned street gangs, Krenko is no stranger to shady deals and underhanded tactics, including murder, should an obstacle prove troublesome. Krenko was at the party, seemingly with a fraudulent invitation, and was discussing with Tessa about a personal loan of his with the Karlov family. Rather strange, this debt being owed to the Karlov and not the Orzhov proper. The two had a heated conversation about repayment before they were interrupted. Another, less likely suspect is Lavinia, the leader of the Azorius Senate, the lawmakers of Ravnica. Though following the law is part of their DNA, Lavinia was seen in a tense discussion with the Archon Isrim. Isrim remained guildless as leader of the agency, but many of the Azorius followed the Archon because of his strict code of conduct and lawful nature. Many of Lavinia's own guild now looked to the guildless Archon for leadership, as Lavinia's own hopes of Isrim ever joining the Azorius to rule alongside her were crushed. The Simic Combine were represented by their current guild leader, Vanifer, as well as their recently ousted former leader, Zagana. Kaya noted that it was strange seeing the merfolk and elf together acting civil, especially after Vanifer had viciously yanked leadership away from Zagana, and how the two disagreed fundamentally on how the Simic should operate. They seemed to be working together, which only meant the Simic were more dangerous now, as the pair were very interested in meeting with the chief detective of the agency, a man named Proft. The cult of Rakdos are never ones to turn down a good party, and while their leader, the demon Rakdos, wasn't in direct appearance, his envoy, the grand dame of the cult, Judith, was. Though the Rakdos always stir up some trouble, it seems Judith has grown some respect for common people of Ravnica after defending them during the Phyrexian invasion. She was verbally upset with Kaya, who, as a planeswalker, was seen as the herald of all of Ravnica's ills. She also spends most of the party eavesdropping and collecting surveillance. Very suspicious. While the Selesnyan Conclave don't look to be the prime suspects in whatever befalls Karlov Manor, the guild's representative, Talsimir Wolfblood, did bring up in conversation someone who should always be on one's radar when foul play is involved. The Guildmaster of the Dimir, the shape-shifting Lazav. He was noting the distinct absence of the Dimir at the party, and how the rumors of Lazav's death had spread, though Talsimir doesn't believe them, and instead suggests the Dimir leader is holed off somewhere plotting his next move, as Lazav has always done. Another suspect could be the guild leader of the Boros Legion, the warbound angel Aurelia. Though lawful, Aurelia is strict and sees justice as a toll of punishment rather than an instrument of civility. She's a warhawk in the most literal sense, and would maintain order through discipline and force if given the chance. Aurelia seems upset that the new agency has been given so much funding and resources to investigate crimes, when it's always been the Boros Legion who's exacted justice between the guilds for centuries. The angel was even disgruntled at Kellen, who scoffed at her disapproval. Another guild not well represented in this story, but who still holds ties to characters involved, is the Izzet League, Ravnica's frenzied engineers. Though they didn't have direct representation, the planeswalker Ralzeric, a leader among the Izzet, had his husband, Tomik, present at the party. Tomik is in a unique position because he's married to not only a planeswalker, but also someone outside of his own guild, as he himself belongs to the Orzhov Syndicate. Tomik is in fact one of the most powerful contractual mages of the Syndicate. Still, his life is now torn between two guilds, as well as loving a planeswalker who's quickly becoming ostracized within Ravnican society. And while it is Tessa's party, hosted in the light of the Orzhov, we can't rule out that these crimes were perhaps an inside job. Kaya notes that Tessa is cruelly calculating. Even with how much money was being thrown at this gala, Tessa was sure to make a measure of profit from all of this finery. Nothing was ever an expense that wouldn't eventually pay off in her and the Orzhov's favor. Just before the first cries of murder rang through the manor, Tessa catches Kaya alone and frantically says that they need to discuss something very important, in private, before Kaya is pulled away by the screams. What was this about? And do these murders somehow stand to benefit the Orzhov Syndicate? So with all of the information we got with the first story of murders at Karlov Manor, we need to put our detective caps on and take a hard look at all of our potential suspects. Of the guild representatives mentioned today, who do you think have the most motivation to actually commit murders at this party? Without knowing much more than what we have here, and using context from the countless years of Ravnican history, I personally believe the chaos at Karlov Manor would best benefit those who want to disrupt the structure of order. With that, I think the most likely suspects would be the agents of the Gruul clans, the cult of Rakdos, or possibly Krenko. None of which like being under the thumbs of a higher authority, which they all currently are in the shadow of the Orzhov Syndicate. But personally, I would put all of my money on House Demir. They are extremely shady and extremely secretive. Because they're quote-unquote gone now doesn't mean they're gone for good. And I could easily see Lazav popping out of the dark with some grand scheme that involves these murders at Karlov Manor. But we'll have to wait until more clues surface to get a better picture of this mystery. But that doesn't mean we can't have some fun theory crafting now. Let me know who you think did it in the comment section below and why. And remember, if you enjoy the content here, to help support us by leaving this video a like, sharing it with friends, and becoming a subscriber. It all goes a long way in helping this community grow. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, see ya!